Welcome to question number 28, Makonis. This is also a question in acquisition and mergers. Okay, so first we are going to discuss the requirements. Part A, estimate the additional equity value created by combining the two companies based on the free cash flow to firm method. Comment on the results obtained and briefly discuss the assumptions made. Hold on, relax, don't panic. This looks like a very complicated type of questions, right? They're talking about free cash flow, they're talking about comment, they're talking about assumption, they're talking about additional liquidity value. Break this into pieces. Okay, so in this one requirement, they're asking first additional equity value. If you go through your all the questions under your mergers and acquisition section, you will see that this question is repeated. Additional equity value, additional equity value. In question 25 also we have gone through this additional equity value. That means for your acquisition and mergers chapter, you have to know how to calculate additional equity value. This is a repeated question. So this is number one requirement. Okay. Second, okay, based on a free cash flow, that additional equity value you have to calculate based on this method. Free cash flow to firm. Okay. Coming to the next part. So number one, this is number one. Okay. Number one is this. Number two, comment on the results obtained and briefly discuss the assumptions made. Number two, comment on results. So this is number two. Number three is assumptions. You have to discuss the assumptions. So there are three requirements in one single requirement. You have to divide this into three different sections to get the 13 marks. And you exactly have to know how are you going to divide this 13 marks into three separate requirements. Because then only you will be able to know how much you have to write for each, how much you have to calculate. Coming to part B. Estimate the impact of Makonis company's equity holders if the premium paid is increased to 50 from 30%. So currently the premium is 30%. Now it has been, what happened if the premium increased from 30 to 50%? You have to tell the impact on Makoni company's equity holders. Premium increased from to 50 from 30. Coming to part C. This should be quite easy to you. Part B. Okay, coming to part C. Estimate the additional funds required if a premium of 50% is paid instead of 30 and discuss how this premium could be financed. There are two requirements in this one single requirement, if you can understand. This word and tells you that there are two requirements. It separates one requirement from the other. First requirement is you have to estimate the additional funds required if a premium of 50%. Of course, when you're paying a higher premium, you require more fund. So what is that additional fund? Because the premium is changed from 30 to 50%. That is number one. You have to find out. Number two is discuss how this premium could be financed. How this premium could be financed is number two, and it's for 7 marks. So it could be 4 marks and 3 or 3, 4 like that. You can divide. Okay, now let's read the case study. It's not a very big, it's a small. Okay, because usually 25 marks question is, you will not expect such a big lengthy case study. Okay, that lengthy case study where you have to write a report, where your professional marks are there, the 4 professional marks is in section A, the 50-mark question. So coming to this, Makonis is a listed company producing motor cars, wants to acquire Nuvola company, an engineering company involved in producing innovative device for cars. Okay, Makonis is keen to incorporate some of Nuvola's innovative devices into its cars and thereby boost sales revenue. The following financial information is provided for the two companies. You can see the current share price, you can see the number of shares issued, equity beta, asset beta of the two companies. Now, it is thought that combining the two companies will result in several benefits. Free cash flow to firm of the combined company will be 216 million in current value terms, but this will be increased by an annual growth rate of 5% for the next 4 years before reverting to an annual growth rate of 2.25% in perpetuity. Okay. So, free cash flow to firm is 216 million of the combined company. Okay, but this will increase. Annual growth rate is 5% for the next 4 years before, and then annual growth rate, okay, perpetuity. In addition to this, combining the companies will result in cash synergy benefits of 20 million. See, synergies are almost given to you always. Okay, benefits of 20 million. So this is the synergy for the next 4 years. 20 million per year for the next 4 years. Okay. This synergy benefits are not subject to any inflationary increase, and no synergy benefits will occur after the fourth year. After the fourth year, there is no synergy benefit. It is only for the first 4 years. The debt to equity ratio of the combined company. Why the debt to equity ratio is given to you? You have been given some equity beta and asset beta, right? From your experience by now, since you have done so many questions, you should be able to know when some numbers is given, when some terms is given, such as like asset beta, equity beta, why it is given, what could be it, how can you use it, right? So in this condition, it could be used to find what? Cost of capital or cost of equity, right? That's why you're also given the debt to equity ratio also of the combined company, because you have to find the combined company's cost of capital or cost of equity to discount, because this free cash flow of firm, you have to discount it to find the value of the combined company. Because if you don't find the value of the combined company, how will you find the additional value in part A? So the debt to equity ratio of the combined company is what? Combined is 40 to 60. 40 debt, 60 equity in market value terms, and is expected that the combined company's cost of debt. So combined company's cost of debt is 4.55%. Now, the corporation tax rate is 20%. The current fisc, okay. The current, so you can see risk-free rate, market premium, all these are given for you to find your cost of equity using your capital asset pricing model. So risk-free rate is 2%, risk premium is 7%. It can be assumed that combined companies asset beta is WACC is the weighted average of Makonis and Nuvol's asset betas weighted by their current market values. Clearly, you have to use this. You have to be very critical of this. How are you going to find the combined company's asset beta? Right? It has been assumed. So assumption is there that combined company's asset beta is the weighted average of the two companies' asset beta weighted by their current market values. So that's how you have to find the asset beta. Coming to the last, McCartney has offered to acquire the Nuvola through a mixed offer of one of his share for two Nuvola shares plus a cash payment, such that a 30% premium is paid for the acquisition. Okay, what was it? It's a mixed offer, first of all. Okay, one of his share for two Nuvola shares plus a cash payment. So it's one for two share and a cash payment, such that a 30% premium is paid for the acquisition. Nuvola equity holders feel that 50% premium would be more acceptable. So Makonis company has sufficient cash reserves if the premium is 30%, but not if it is 50%. So they have talked about cash reserve here. That means you cannot say, when you have to remember, there's a question, part C, how you're going to finance this premium. You cannot say through cash, because it is given in the last line. Makonis does not have sufficient cash reserve if it is 50% premium. So cash is out of the picture. You have to go for some suggest other finance method. But if they have a premium of 30%, yes, cash reserve is there, but not in 50%. So clearly everything is given in this case. Now coming to the first, you have to find the additional equity value using free cash flow to form, and then comment on the results and then assumptions made, right? If you see, this marking scheme is quite a lengthy marking scheme, right? And also see this. I'm going to go through this at the end of this video, examiner's team comment. It's very, very important that you go through this. You cannot miss on this. Now, combined, the one thing about acquisition and merger is, yes, there is a question might be same, additional value. I remember in question 25 also, you can check that video. I found an additional value for the two companies. Here also it is additional value for the two companies, but the method might be different. The method might be different, this and that. It depends on the way the method you are valuing. There I used free cash flow to equity. FCFE. So cost of equity was already given to you. So I did it easily, right? In fact, the free cash flow to equity is already given. So that value itself I took. But in this question, okay, I have to find what this is free cash flow to firm, not free cash flow to equity. So we have to find WACC, cost of capital we have to find, right? So first we have to find the combined company's cost of capital. That is the first step. Cost of capital is the first step. Okay, because that free cash flow we have to divide it by the cost of capital to find the additional, before we find the additional value. First is asset beta, of course, and then equity beta. So this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, and this is number 4. You have to follow this step only. Whenever cost of capital you have to find out asset beta. How are we going to find the asset beta? Hmm? If you see here, asset beta, right? So this combined company's asset beta we have to find, right? 1.2 into 480. That means we have to use this 0.9 and 1.2. For both the companies we have to add 0.9, then 1.2. 1.2 into 480. How are you getting that 480 for Nuvola? It is just simple as this. 200 multiplied by 2.4. And here it will be 210 multiplied by 5.8. You are getting 1218. You are multiplying that by the asset beta, which is 0.9. If you see here, right? 1.2 into 480, that is for Nuvola, and for the Macon it is 0.9 into 1218. We just multiply the share price with the number of shares. That divide by total number of share. What is the total number of share? 480 plus this, both the company share you add. So then this is the combined companies cost asset beta. Using this you have to find the equity beta through the formula. So it is asset beta into, we have been given the proportion of debt to equity. Debt is 40, equity is 60, right? So it is equity is 60 plus debt into 0.8, because tax is 20%. After tax it will be 0.8 divided by equity, market value of equity. So this is the equity beta. Just check this too. Equity beta has to be greater than asset beta. Okay, why you have to check is that if you are getting, by any chance, if you are getting in, maybe your calculation is wrong and all, if you are getting an equity beta which is less than asset beta, there itself you can correct it. Later you will not get the time to change, because later if you have to change, you have to change everything. It will be very costly for you, cannot do that. You will not have the time. So better you check early. If it's more, right? Perfect. But still have this habit of rechecking there itself. The moment you calculate something, on the spot recheck, because at the end of the exam you will not get a time to check all the calculations step by step. This step I always follow. It saves a lot of time. It makes you sure that you're confident of the answer and you are getting the same answer. Because what happens sometimes when you're putting in the calculator, maybe we are too fast or we panic, so we might incorrect the wrong numbers and we might get wrong answers. So using that one figure, we are using some other figure. So in the first step itself, check yourself twice at least. Cost of equity, we have to use the CAPM. Okay, capital asset pricing model. Risk premium is 7% plus risk free rate. Using that equity beta, this is your cost of equity. Now using that cost of equity, 12.5 into 0.6, because equity is 60, and debt, cost of debt has been given to you, into 0.8 after tax, and 0.4 debt is 0.4, and 9% is your cost of capital. Now combined companies equity value, you have to use that free cash flow. Please go and check my video on free cash flow if you are not sure how to calculate free cash flow. Basically, you have to find the present value of free cash flow. That's why you need that cost of capital, that 9%. Okay, so keep that ready. What happen is you can do this step later also. Cost of capital you can find later also when you want to find that discount factor after doing the free cash flow table. Anyway, anything is fine. So first it is for millions and write that it is in millions, so that you just want to drop down the last digits. Now free cash flow before synergy growing at 5%. What was the free cash flow? It was 226.8. Okay, 216. But this 216 you have to increase it by 5%, right? For the next 4 years, they told this will increase by an annual. See, this this is an area where most of you could go wrong. You don't know from which year to increase it. Some of you might take this 216 and put it in year 1, but read again. 216 in the current value terms, but this will increase by an annual growth rate of 5% for the next 4 years. That means 4 years you have to increase. That means 216 for the first year itself you have to increase by 5% and put. So 216 into 1.05, you are getting 226.8. Okay, let me put this here. From the first year itself, we have to keep increasing, and every year you have to keep increasing it by 5%. Then you have to add synergy. Synergy is 20 million for each year, not just for 1 year, for each year, for the 4 years only. So 20, 20, 20, 20. Add. That is your free cash flow. Now discount it using 9%. Okay, now the present value, no, read the note. The present value, okay, and this note is not there in the answer, by the way. You don't have to write this note. It is given for your understanding purpose. When these marking schemes are printed and given, they put such notes for your understanding purpose, but you don't have to write these notes. The present value figures are slightly different if discountable factors are used instead of formula. Full credit will be given if discount tables are used to calculate present value figures. Yes, because 9% when you discount, you can use it from the table itself also. But if you are using it through the formula, you might get little different answer. It does not matter. Anything is okay. Now, this itself is not enough. We have cash flows after year 4 onwards till perpetuity. You have to calculate that. You have to calculate the present value for that also. And that also it will grow. Okay, the growth rate was 2.25%. So the total present value of cash. Now what is the total present value? Add all the 4 years present value and you are getting this. Now total present value of cash flows from year 5 to perpetuity. Right? When you're taking that, you have to take this year 4, the next year, okay? And increase it by what? 2.25%, that is the growth rate. Divided by cost of capital minus the growth. Into, okay, what is this into part? 1.09 to the power minus 4. You're discounting it back to your 0, right? It will be 1.09 to the power minus 4. In short, it is the discount factor used in year 4. Discount factor at 4. Year 4. Why 4 I will write, okay? The discount factor which you are putting here in year 4, that discount factor only you have to multiply by it. The last year's discount factor. Because you have to bring it to year 0. Okay? Then add both. Add this with this one. So 852.39 plus 2817.51, you are getting this total value to firm. Total value to firm. But this is total value to firm. This is not additional value. Okay. Now, value attributable to equity holders. What does it mean? It means only equity holders. Total value to firm means both equity and debt holders are there. You only have to find the equity portion. What is the equity portion? Equity is 60 and debt was 40. Debt to equity ratio is 40-60. So equity, you have to multiply that value by 60%. Here you are. And you are getting that value for equity. So now additional value created from the combined company. Okay. It is the value which is attributed to the equity holders minus. Okay, minus what? Minus 1218 plus 480. What is this 1218 plus 480? The total is this only, okay? That's why they are minusing it from 2 to this one. And this has to be your value. And if you find this value, you are getting 29.7. How? 503.94 divided by 2201.94. You will be getting, right? Okay. Because this is the share of the combined of the separate company, the two separate company, 1218. This is the Makoni company's value. How did we find their value? Number of share into equity, the share price. And 480 was for whom? For Nuvola. For Nuvola. This is N. I'm writing M. This is Nuvola. Wait, my pen is not working. This is what happens when you want to write something and it's not writing. Sorry. Let me erase this. Okay. Okay. So 480 is for Nuvola and just for Nuvola, the value of Nuvola and value of the two company. Okay, you have to minus from the combined company and you are getting the additional value, which is 503.94 million, which is 29.7%. Okay. Now, how are you getting this weight? There is a mistake. I was just checking that the denominator is not that. The denominator will be 1698. The value of Makoni plus Nuvola, not the combined value. Not the sorry, not the value attributable to equity holders. Why it is not this? Because it is just for the equity holders. I want the total value of both the companies, the addition of both the company, which is 1218 plus 480. Okay, out of that, what is the additional value? That is 29.7%. That's why you're getting it is 29.678. You're rounding up to one decimal place. Okay, now coming. You have to explain, discuss. You have to comment on the results now. So this para is just for commenting and the next assumptions. Okay, these are the list of assumptions. Okay. So although the equity beta and therefore the risk of the combined company is more than the Makoni on its own. How is it more? Probably due to Nuvola's higher business risk reflected by the higher asset beta. Overall, the benefit from growth in excess of the risk-free rate and additional synergies have led to an increase in the value of the combined company of just under 30% when compared to the individual company's value. 29.7, right, which is less than which is under 30% when compared to the individual company values. So basically when you comment on the results, you have to talk about the equity beta, how that risk reduced, whether equity beta increased or not. Okay, we'll check. So basically you have to, equity beta means what? It measures the risk, right? We'll see. Combined equity beta was 1.51, but if you are taking the equity beta of just Makoni, it is 0.9. It is, so that equity beta increased. That equity beta increased. And also the asset beta, if you see, 0.985. It fell down. So, sorry, it increased. It also increased compared to the 0.9. Asset beta increased. Equity beta increased. So business risk increased. Okay. So although now after saying that, read this again. Although the equity beta and therefore the risk of the combined company is more than Makonis on his own, we saw. Probably due to why that increases there, you are explaining the reason. Whenever you say something increased, you have to tell why. Probably due to Nuvola's higher business risk, reflected by the higher asset beta. So if you see Nuvola's asset beta, which is 1.2, Nuvola is having a higher business risk compared to Makoni. Makoni is just having 0.9, which is even less than the combined company's asset beta. So because of that higher asset beta 1.2 of Nuvola, that equity beta went up for the combined company. That means more risky, right? Overall, the benefit from the growth in excess of the risk-free rate and additional synergies have led to an increase in value of the combined company of just under 30%. We saw that additional value is just under 30% when compared to the individual company's value. Okay. So now, what are the assumptions? However, a number of assumptions have been made in obtaining the valuation. For example, what are those assumptions? There are three assumptions, three bullet points. Assumption of growth of cash flow as perpetuity and whether this is realistic or not. Yes. Number one is about the perpetuity, that growth of 2.25%. You have to question whether it is realistic or not, that growth rate. Second, whether the calculation of the combined company's asset beta when based on the weighted average of market value is based on good evidence or not. Based on, so that combined asset beta, how you're getting it. It is based on what? Weighted average of the market value. So that market value which you are getting, it is based on whether it is based on good evidence or not. If it is wrong, then your asset beta of the combined company will also be wrong. And the third is it has been assumed. Now your assumption could be different from this, okay? Provided it is reasonable assumptions, you will get marks. It has been assumed that the figures such as growth rates, tax rates, free cash flow, risk-free rate of return, and risk premium are accurate and do not change in the future. So it has been assumed that they will not change in the future and they are accurate. In all these circumstances, it may be appropriate to undertake sensitivity analysis. Always recommend sensitivity analysis wherever more assumptions are there. When some valuation is done by using some assumptions, at the end, write this conclusion. It could be even for your net present value calculation also, investment appraisal, reconstruction, mergers and acquisition. It could be from any scenario, but try to write this, that it will be appropriate in this condition to take sensitivity analysis to determine how changes in variables would impact on the value of the combined company. That means if you change one variable, let's say you are changing the growth rate, how much it is having an impact on the combined company. To see that, sensitivity analysis is a good one, and whether the large increase in value is justified. Okay, these are like general. This is like a format you have to answer. This is the way you have to answer. Coming to B. Okay, so first we'll go and see the marking scheme for part A, how it is marked. 13 marks. Okay, so combined companies asset beta 1 mark, market value of Makoni and Nuvola is 1 mark. Sorry, I missed that first point. To find the market value of Makoni and Nuvola is 1 mark, asset beta 1 mark, equity beta 1 mark, cost of capital 1 mark. That means each step you have to be correct to get that 1 mark. Combined company 1 to 4, 3 marks. Okay, year 5 to perpetuate is just 1 mark. Value to equity holders and additional values 2 marks. Comment and discussion of assumptions 3 to 4 marks. Most of you don't write your assumptions or you don't comment on the results. You just do the calculation part and then leave it. Okay, now we'll see what the examiner's team had to say on part A. Older read part A. In part A, what are the common errors? Included not converting the asset beta into equity beta. You cannot, you have to. Otherwise, how will you find cost of capital? You are not putting asset beta in the CAPM formula. You are putting equity beta only. You have to convert it to equity beta. Deducting tax from the free cash flows. You should not deduct the tax from the free cash flows. Growing cash flows from the wrong year. Yes, you're growing that 5% I told you. And not recognizing that debt value has to be deducted from the value of the company to find the value attributable to equity holders. In short, you're just finding the 60%, or you could find the 40% and deduct it from the total value. Whenever you have to find the value attributable to equity holders, the value that the debt holders, you have to deduct it. Right? So that's it for part A. Coming to part B. What is part B about? Let's read the requirement again for part B. Estimate the impact of the mechanism if the premium paid is increased. Okay, we have to say the impact on the equity holders. We just saw what is the additional value on the equity holders. Now we have to tell the impact if the premium is increased from 30 to 50%. How this is answered? First, find for 30%. Before, don't jump to 50%. Okay, because we don't know what is the impact if the premium is 30%. We don't even know the impact of 30%. How will we know the impact of 50%? To show the impact of something, you have to show the earlier figure. Old figure you have to use. So start with 30%. That is your starting point. If 30% premium is paid to Nuvola's equity holders, they will receive. Okay, who will receive? Nuvola is going to receive how much? 30% of 480 million. 144 million of the additional value created. Why 480? Because that is the value of Nuvola. Share price into your current. Okay, we'll go and check. It is this. If you see 200 into 480. That is the Nuvola's value on that 30% premium. So they are going to receive 144. Right? We talked about Nuvola. What about Makonis? We have to talk about Makonis as well. How much he is going to receive under 30% premium. Makonis company's equity holders will receive about this. Or if you take it as a share, 1.71 per share. Right? Basically 359.94 divided by number of share. Of the additional value created, which is 29.5% of the current share price. How did we get that? 359.94. 30% of, what is it? I can check from here. 1218. Okay. I'm giving you some time. Find out how 359.94. Okay, just work out. I'm not going to tell you, right? I'm not in a hurry. I'm not going to answer this. You find out how are we getting 359.94, right? Because this is something which you need to work on. Some things are not straightforward. Like how we got for Nuvola 30% of 480, we are not going to get for the Makonis. I'm just giving you another 1 minute more for you to find out how we got that 359.94. Okay, I think I've given you enough time. So this is how we found. This is not, I told you, it is not direct. You have to use your part A answer for this. Okay, so what is the value? Okay, so here I'm going. What is the additional value created from the combined company? It is this. From this, you have to minus 1218 plus 480. Now you have to minus what? 144 also. This premium also you have to minus. So we'll minus it and see. Okay, 2201.94 minus 1218 minus 480 minus 144, which is 359.94, right? And we're getting this. So basically from that you have to minus this also, so that your additional value is from wait, what is it? From 503.94 it is falling to 359.94 because of that premium 144, right? Or 1.71 per share. How are you getting that 1.71 per share of additional value created? Right, and if you say it will be 29.5 of the current share price, 29.5%, because the share, okay, current share price means it will be 359.94. What is the share? 1218 for Makonis only, which is 29.55, so 29.5%. Now how did you get this 1.71? Okay, for this we have to go here, number of issued shares in Makonis. What is it? 210, 210 million. So if you take it per share, it will be 359.94. Okay, I will write here 359.94 divide by number of share. No, 210. That's how you are getting 1.71. Always try to work in both the terms, in terms of the value, total value, and per share. Okay, you should know both. Now coming to 50, so that is with 30%. Okay, coming to 50% also you have to repeat the same thing. If 50% premium is paid to Nuvola equity holder, they will receive 50% of 480. Okay, before it was 30% of 480, now it's 50%. So now from that additional value which you got, just deduct 240, which is 503.94. Deduct 240. It will be 263.94. Reduced, right? And 263.94 divide by 210. It will be 1.26. Right, and when you're taking, which will be 25%, 21.7%. How? 263.94 divided by 1218. Now coming to this, hence Makonis equity holders will receive almost 8% less return if a premium for 80% were paid. 8% less return. Just compare this. Before it was 29.5%, now it is 21 point, almost it is around to 8% only. Just see the difference. Just 7.8%, the difference. So almost 8% less return you're having with premium of 50%. Now coming to part C. Okay, for part B, yes, sorry, I forgot to take it to the marking scheme. 2 marks for the impact of Nuvola and with 30%, and 2 for impact on Makonis and Nuvola with 50%. And the impact, 1 mark is for the impact. So that impact you have to tell that it increased or reduced or something of one line. Now coming to part B. Part B was not done well by many candidates. Please make a note on this. Few candidates could estimate the reduction in value to the equity holders of acquiring company. So you can see acquiring company is who? Makonis. Makonis value reduced. If you see, when the premium increased. So very few of you were able to identify that. That means you have to practice on this area most in such areas, because these areas are critical areas. It's not easy to identify. So a sizable number of candidates who chose this question means because that time, okay, this question was long years back. That time we have this optional. There was an option to choose a question, right? 4 questions and you have to choose 3, any 3. So most of them, they have chose this question, left part B unanswered. Never do this. Never, never, never. Write anything, whatever you know, whatever you think will make sense, but never leave any question unattempted. If you do that, trust me, there's no chance of you passing. You are minimizing every possibility of you passing. And trust me, even though 50% looks easy, getting that 50%, you have to sweat a lot. You really have to break your head out. It's not that easy. But it's not that hard either, if you follow the simple strategies and all little techniques and all. So coming to part C. Okay. Part C has 2 requirements, 7 marks. Additional funds required. You have to estimate that. That means you have to do calculation and how premium would be financed. That is a theory part. So a calculation part and a theory part. How much finance we need? Addition calculation is done. How to start this question? To start this question, you have to start with what? You have to start with the calculation part. Yes, of course, but where to start from? Which calculation? What we have to calculate first? This is what? This is a mixed finance. Mixed finance means one is share for share. The other one is cash. First find out the share for share, how much it is, and cash. The total of it will be the amount of finance you require. Okay, so you have to start with the share for share part. Cash, it won't be so tough. So 1 Makonis share for 2 Nuvola shares, we have been told, implies a premium of, okay, implies a premium of 0.5. That's 0.5 they got by this per Nuvola share. 5.8 minus 5, 4.8. By the way, in this part, section C, I'm going slow. A bit slow I will go. Maybe somewhere I have to pause also. So right? The reason I'm going slow is this is a very tough area. This is not an easy area. Trust me on this. Even after doing tons of questions, people struggle there in this part. That's why this is the very reason I'm going slow. I cannot go fast in this question. You will not understand anything. This is not like any other question. Okay, 5.8 minus 4.8. For that, I have to go to this table. This current share price. Look at the current share price. Whenever share for share exchange comes, go to your current share price or number of shares. But here they are dealing in current share price. You can keep it in share price also, or current share price into number of issued shares also. Work like that. Sorry, issued shares also, but they are working in share price. Okay, so Makonis currently has what? 5.8. Okay, minus the difference. Okay, 2.4 is by what? 1 of Makonis share for 2 Novala's share. Okay, what does it mean? If you go there again to the answer, I will show you. It is 5.8 minus 4.8 divided by 2. It is not 5.8 minus 4.8 divided by 2. Okay, it is 5.8 minus 4.8 divided by 2 per Novala share. That means 1 here, 2 here. 1 share for 2 Novala share. Okay. Giving a little time to think, how are you getting the number of share? You have to know whether you have to multiply or divide the 2.4. You have to touch that 2.4 only, Novala share. Okay. So let's not deal in millions. What is Novala company share? It is 2.4 into 200 million. So 2.4 into 2, which is 4.8, right? So 5.8 minus 4.8, which is 1. 1 divided by 2. 1 Makonis share for for 2 means if it's 1 for Novala, then it will be half at Makonis. 1 share in Novala means half share in Makonis. That's why you are dividing 5.8 minus 4.8. Divide the whole thing by 2, which is 1 divided by 2 only. Because 5.8 minus 4.8 is 1, which is divided by 2. Okay. I know it looks a little complicated and all. That's why I paused and I went slow. So it's here. Where is it? On 1 Makonis share for 2. That means in 1 Novala share will be half for Makoni, right? implies a premium of 0.5. Now, if a 30% premium is offered to Novala equity holders, they will expect 144. We already saw 480 into 30%. Premium of 0.72 per share. How are they getting it as per share? How are they getting 0.72? 144 divided by 200. Number of share issued 200 for Novala. That's how you're getting 0.72. And therefore the cash paid will be this 0.22 for each Novala shares of 45 million in total. Cash paid will be 0.22. How is it? Because Novala is expecting to receive 0.72 per share. Okay. And this is 0.5. The value for Novala's. So 0.72, the difference is 0.22. So the difference will be paid in cash. Because they expected to receive 0.72. From share, they are receiving 0.5. And the balance, they will receive by cash. That's why 0.22. Sorry, this is 0.72. Yes, correct. For each Novala company share of 45 million in total. How are they getting this in total? 44 million. 0.22 multiplied by 400. Sorry, 200. Number of share issued in Novala. That's how they are getting that 44 million in total. You should always be prepared to calculate both. For each or the total. For each share or total value. Okay. Now coming to 50% premium. If 50% premium is offered to Novala's equity holder, they will expect 240 million premium. We just calculated it above in part A, or 1.2 per share. 240 divided by 200. And therefore the cash paid will be 0.7. How is it 0.7? 1.2. Now the premium minus what share for share will remain the same. Only cash will change. 0.5. So balance is cash. Or 140 million in total. 0.7 into 200. Now just see what's happening to your cash. Cash paid before it was 0.22. Now it is 0.7. It is increasing from 44 to 140. From 44 to 140. How much is the increase? 96. The amount of cash required will increase substantially by about 96 million. From 44 to 140. If Makonis agrees to the demand made by Novala's equity holders and pays 50% premium, Makonis needs to determine how it is going to acquire the additional funds and implications for this. For example, it could borrow the money required for the additional fund, but taking on more debt. One way is they could go for debt. That is one way they could finance. But you should always give the disadvantages also. If they go for debt, what happens? It may affect their cost of capital and therefore the value of the company. Cost of capital based on this value of company also will change. It could raise the fund by issuing more equity shares. Another one is, this is number one, this is number two, issuing more equity shares. But this may not be viewed in a positive light by the current equity holders. Why? Dilution of their control. They are also going to control the board. They are also going to sit in the board if you are issuing more shares, equity shares. Now, Makonis may decide to offer a higher proportion of his shares to the share for share exchange instead of paying cash for the additional premium. So they are saying it is better to go for higher proportion of his share. Now it's currently one Makonis share for two Novala share. They can go for higher. They could give higher of their shares. More shares of Makonis to the Novalas in the share for share exchange rather than giving cash. However, but there is a disadvantage for this also. However, this will affect its equity holders. Okay, this will affect its equity holders and dilute the equity holding further. Even the current proposal to issue 100 million new shares, okay, will mean that Novala's equity holders will own just under 1/3 of the combined company. And Makonis shareholders would own just over two-thirds of the combined company. Okay, there's some calculation how they got that one-third and two-third. Okay, we'll do this calculation at the end of this video. Makonis, the last paragraph. Makonis should also consider what Novelis equity holders would prefer. Yes, it is very important what the target company's equity holders also prefer. That's very important. It is not just one-sided decision that whatever you want to pay, you decide. No, you have to see the other company's preference also. They may prefer less cash. Yes, maybe Novola might prefer less cash and more equity due to their personal tax circumstances. Why is that? Because when you are paying cash, Macon is paying cash to Novola, Novola has to pay tax on that. They are receiving the cash. So maybe to avoid tax, they want to go for share exchange. For share exchange, you can avoid tax. So maybe because of their personal tax circumstances, in most cases, cash is preferred. Sorry, but in most cases, cash is preferred by the target firm's equity holders. Yes, because cash is less risky, right? You are receiving cash on the hand, on the spot. Share for share exchange, there are so many risks. What happens if the value goes down? We'll see how it is marked. So, part C, impact on the cash payable under each 30 and 50 is 3. And if you see higher marks is for your discussion. How Macon is going to pay higher premium. So, they talked about more debt, issuing more equity shares, right? Now we'll see part C. Part C was answered reasonably well by many candidates, but again, weaker answers tended to state rather than discuss the possible financing method. Just stating is not enough. Bank loan, equity shares, right shares is not enough. You have to explain. A number of candidates suggested using Islamic finance. Looks very doubting, suddenly out of nowhere, Islamic finance. Okay, we'll see. To finance the acquisition, but unless a specific asset or asset group can be identified to match with this form of finance, it is difficult to see how this can be an appropriate source of finance. See, one hint here I want to give is whenever sources of finance comes, don't suggest Islamic finance. Do not. If nothing about Islamic finance has been mentioned in the case study, there'll be something mentioned about Islamic finance. Maybe in your requirements in your case study, they might be giving you some financial products, Islamic products, right? Islamic financial products like sukuk, bond, which is bond, or mudraba, mushraka contract, something they will give you relating to Islamic finance. They will mention. If it is not, you should not talk about Islamic finance under your sources of finance. Don't do this, right? The finance source should be appropriate to what it is needed for. Therefore, again, contextualization to the scenario is important. If you say cash, okay, cash reserves, use the current cash reserve of the company. That means you are not really relating it to the case study. So don't try to give general points. Relate to the case study. Cash reserve is not available in 50% contract. Now, one last thing is left in this. After that, we are over with this question. At least I advise you to do this question 3 times, 2 to 3 times. One time you do is not enough. Especially part C to get those values and all. Okay, so one thing was there. Even the current proposal to issue 100 million new shares will mean that Novella's equity holders will just own under one-third of the combined company. Okay, so this part you can do your calculations and see first. If you're not getting an answer, you can comment me below. I will explain why you're not getting it. Personally, I will explain to you. Okay, how that is there. If someone is very curious to know it, if you're not curious, then you can leave it. Okay, because this is the examiner's answer. Maybe this might not, you might not think of such answer. You might not be so concerned about it, so you can leave it. So that's it. And the next question, the last 25 mark question also, and of the revision kit, I would say is question number 29, right? Which is Vogel. It is also about accusation. And this is the last question. After that, I'll be done and I will be starting the 50 marks question. The 50 marks case study question. 11 questions are there total. So I'll be finishing all. In that video, you do have to watch that video. Those videos will be more longer than this because it is 50 marks. More time is needed, and also I'm going to explain you how to write a report writing, and how to get the professional marks. So don't forget and don't miss those videos out, okay? Those are very valuable videos. So that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit that bell icon so that you receive the notification. Just subscribing is not enough. You will not receive the notification. You have to hit the bell icon. Then as soon as I upload, you get the notification. And do share this channel with your friends and tell them too to subscribe to this channel, and help me to let my channel grow and reach more people and help out more people. Thank you. Take care.